Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Jesus Take the Mic. I am your host, Bree, and I am here with a sweet friend of mine, Katie Mast. How are you,
Hello.
girl?
Good.
Good. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for
And
having me.
I'm already just pre-thanking you for opening up about your life and
Yeah.
sharing your wisdom and your experiences with us. So I know that you were homeschooled
I
growing
was.
up.
I was.
And how is that? Because you hear a lot of moms homeschooling their kids, but it's
Mhm.
rare that you really hear the other side of it. How was that
Yes.
for you growing up?
Honestly, this is just my opinion, but I think it was the best thing for our family and for me personally as I was growing up.
Mhm.
My mom was very structured. She is a very disciplined person. I think it varies. The mom's personality, I think, will determine the success of that and everything else that goes with that.
Right.
But for me and my brothers, I have three brothers. We all generally, I would say, did very well with it. It was a great thing for just keeping a close knit family growing up
Right.
and growing up together. We didn't wake up and rush through morning routines and not see each other until the evening when we had to rush through evening routines and go to bed. And like looking at how people live now, and that's no judgment because everybody is different, but I just see the blessing that that was for us growing up. I didn't know what that lifestyle was like, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I tried to homeschool my kids for like the second half of
Yes,
the
I know
year.
you did. Yeah.
Bless your mom.
I often think that when I think back to how bad we were too, I remember being a kid and being bad. And I'm like, why didn't she throw us in school? There's a lot of times she could have.
No,
And probably a lot of times if you ask her, she was close to doing it. But
it's hard.
yeah,
I only did it
it
for
is
half
not
a
easy.
year and I felt like it almost made me a worse parent.
Yeah.
Like I had no patience.
Yeah.
I was just there was tears almost all the time because
Mhm.
one would get frustrated that they weren't getting something right away and I'm like, I'm not even a teacher. I'm not cut out for this. Like and then, like, you hear a lot of other homeschool moms where they're like, "Oh, I didn't really do a curriculum base. They just
Mhm.
did, like, other life skills."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay, I'm not a teacher and I don't have any life skills. I don't know
Right.
how to homestead. I don't know how to knit or sew or
Right.
bake or you know what I mean?"
Mhm.
And for me, it was just very, very hard.
Mhm.
And, but I understand the chaos of being in public school because that is totally true.
Yeah.
Everyone's running around, all three, but plus four because
Yeah.
my 2-year-old thinks that she's in the mix with that.
Yeah.
Everyone's looking for socks and shoes and
Mhm.
backpacks and trying to eat and hurry up, let's
Mhm.
get out the door. So I get it.
Don't get me wrong, there's chaos with homeschooling too. Like I said, my mom was very strict. So like we
Yeah.
had to be up by a certain time once we were a certain age, specifically where we could get ourselves ready, get ourselves breakfast, yada yada. Like we were expected to have our school books open by a certain time, have chores done by a certain time. And me and my middle brother specifically, I mean, there was a few years where we gave her a run for her money.
Oh,
Both my parents definitely just, I'm sure in those moments, I remember her crying. I remember her going to the
aw.
bathroom being like, don't come to the door. Mommy just needs a second. Now I get it looking back.
So she was sweet when she needed a break.
When she needed a break,
Feel like
I'm
I
sure
would've
if
just
you asked her,
raged.
she would be able to remember. But for the most part, no. My mom was pretty chill
Yeah.
from what I remember.
Yeah.
There were times where obviously I remember her losing her patience, but who wouldn't when you have four kids at home during the day? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like it has its chaos too. Don't think like, oh, just public school has chaos.
Yeah.
That's not true.
So you guys were all different ages then.
Mhm.
So how did she because this is something that I struggled with too
Yeah.
because I had 3 that were at like the school age like
Mhm.
so the boys were in elementary school then Bella, which is my third, was kind of like going into the preschool era ish.
Mhm.
And so how did your mom teach all of you guys at the same time being all different ages?
So she worked with different on different time slots with us.
Okay.
Like if they're like math is not my thing. I always needed an overload of help with math, whereas my brothers were fine at it. So like for whatever independent work looked like, if it was coloring when we were little, or like the boys doing math on their own because they were all very good at that,
Mhm.
she would, okay, like from 12 to 1, I'm going to be doing this with you, while the boys did their solo work, and then vice versa. We would kind of switch who got the attention at the time.
Right.
For the most part, since my youngest brother was such a big age gap, he was always just kind of the baby that was there until later. But And then, like, we would always do, like, devotions,
Mhm.
and, like, that was something that we did together. But, most of the time, she had our bookwork that we could do it on our own, and it was, like, obviously set to our level where we could work on it on our own.
Okay.
The biggest thing wasn't necessarily knowing what to do, it was getting us to actually sit down and do it,
Right.
especially as little kids,
Yeah.
you
Attention
know?
span.
It's just
You
not
need
there.
breaks.
Yeah.
So then how long was your typical day? Like, was your mom legit teaching from, like, morning to the afternoon?
No, I would say it ebbed and flowed with different rhythms that she had going in the morning too. I would say in general though, we started school probably by 8 and we were done by maybe 1 or 2 o'clock. I remember there were times like later in the evening though after dad got home from work where it was kind of like, okay, we need to set aside time to work on this because you need more time and more help with this. But really, I mean, not a long day. I
Yeah.
think there is because I did go to school 1 year to get my personal training license and the biggest thing I notice is just and I think it's just how school needs to ebb and flow
Mm,
with breaks and whatever and lunch break and everything, but, there's a lot of wasted time, and with homeschool, it's like, okay, if you can actually sit down and buckle down and get your work done,
right.
again, though, easier said than done, you can actually be done in, like, 3 to 4 hours
Yeah.
and, like, get everything that you need to get done in.
Did you guys have tests and stuff?
Yeah, so, I was in Pennsylvania, that's where I grew up.
Okay.
So, like, they had, I think, a different like, the homeschool laws here are a little bit different.
Very lenient here.
They
You
are
don't really have
so
to
lenient compared to
report.
like, Pennsylvania, you had to report things to the school
Yeah.
district, like, we had to sit down with the teacher, I can't remember what it's called, but basically be evaluated. I think that's actually what it's called, like, homeschool evaluation, basically make sure we're getting what we need to
Uh-huh.
be. And then, like, we would do periodic testing, with I don't think it was the public school system, but it was something that basically got reported to the state.
Mhm.
Yeah, a lot more strict than here, which is interesting, but
Yeah, here, when I was going through the homeschooling process, the only reason that we homeschooled is because my son was getting bullied really, really bad.
yeah.
And, I get people say things, but he was threatened to have his
Mhm.
life taken in the first grade by a few different people. And anyway, so I pulled them out and I homeschooled them, but it was very easy. Like I got the
Mhm.
report, I think on like a Thursday or Friday, and I was just kind of like, "Ugh, all right, this is too many times now.
Yeah.
I literally submitted my application. It was approved by like first thing in the morning the next day. And it was very easy. And all we have to submit here is attendance at the end of the year. You don't
Yes.
submit
Mhm.
anything else. Just have to make sure you're enrolled, and
Mhm.
that's pretty much it.
Mhm.
Like there's no like you can pick your own curriculum, you do
Mhm.
your own thing,
Yeah.
which is good, but it also is not so good.
Has its pros and
Yeah,
cons.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
And not having, like, a friends group to always be, "Hey, let's do this," like, pulling me into, like, such a busy lifestyle. I went from, like, working a ton and hanging out with friends all the time to literally, like, "Okay, well, I have a job, and that's what I do," and, like, I just go to my job and train people and, like, go to the gym
yeah.
for myself. For, like, a year, I felt like that's all I did. And I remember, like, talking to my mom about it and be like, "I feel like I need to do something that has, like, more purpose,"
Right.
you know? And I eventually did, like, I got involved in music in our church and different ministries, but that took time, and just being isolated, I would say, away from everything that I knew growing up
Right.
was very good for me. I think especially, too, because I was homeschooled, it did force me out into, like, "Okay, you're older now, so you can make your decisions."
Right.
Technically, I could have moved back if I wanted to, but I think part of me was also like, "You're up for the challenge of this," you know? And then I ended up meeting my husband here, so I'm like, I'm thankful I did. But, yeah, it's just I think moving is a great way to really force yourself out of your comfort zone
To grow.
and to grow. Yes, and to really, like, get alone with God and really, ask him what he has for you. And for me, a big way of me getting out and meeting people was serving. I think that's serving is such an answer to so many things, loneliness, anxiety, discontentment. When you get out and serve other people and take your mind and your heart off of yourself, it's like, okay, I can do this or I can get through this.
Yeah. Now, you train people. You
Hmm.
went and got your personal training license.
Yes.
How did you know you wanted to get into that field?
I was always very active.
Mhm.
My brothers were into sports. I did not really love sports. I was a runner. I always ran cross country. And I said I liked that because it wasn't necessarily, while it was a team sport, it's more of an individual sport. And I
Right.
liked that. They are all very competitive. And I think because they are, that made me not competitive. Um, but then when I was probably like towards the end of high school, my dad always lifted weights and just set that example, especially of just health and fitness. And I got into running in my mid-teen years, and I'd always want to go out on runs by myself. And he was like, "No, you're not running by yourself." So I turned my dad into a runner that way. Now today he can run laps
Aw.
around me. But that's how my dad got into running, because he's like, "I can't let you run these country roads by yourself. There's no way." But then like I eventually started lifting with him, and as I got closer to my senior year, it was like, man, like, I do not really know what I want to do. Like, I always knew I wanted to be a mom, and I always looked at my mom. She stayed at home, as like, okay, that's what I would like to do. But also, like, I feel like I need to have a plan, like,
Mhm.
as well. In the meantime, a career does not hurt, of course. So, I was, given different opportunities for different things. I had thought about like physical therapy, athletic training,
Mhm.
but I liked the idea. I always enjoyed being in a gym, and I liked the gym setting.
Mhm.
So I was able to get accepted into the tech school for the sports therapy sciences program, and that was a year program. And I pretty much started working. I graduated. I literally got my personal training license the day I turned 18, the day you legally could get it, your license.
Right.
And then I started working like 2 weeks later. I had shadowed at our local Y, and the owner of the athletic department was like, "When you get licensed, come on in. We'll give you a job." So that was my first job, working as a trainer. So
What was
yeah,
that like your first, like, hands-on experience? Was it what you thought it would be or no?
not at all, but it was so good for me. So it's
Yeah.
so funny because I feel like, especially in fitness and training and health, like you can have all the book knowledge, but until you
Yeah.
actually get out on the field and work with people, I thought I would be like working with young athletes and like different things.
Right.
I was throwing a bunch of old people at the Y that had like back surgery and broken knees.
Oh,
And I'm like,
yeah.
what am I supposed to do with these people? But that's what makes you a good trainer. In my opinion, working with a vast variety of just different clients with different health needs. And to an 18-year-old, it's like, man, like I was forced to go ask the more experienced trainers. All right, so I was given this client. What do I do? What do I do with her so I don't make her worse?
Yeah.
And over time, now I would much rather train a 90-year-old woman that's falling apart than a younger person that's in sports. That's
Why?
just what I'm comfortable with now.
Just because
Because
that's
in
where you
personal
started?
training, that's generally who you get. Like if you try to do personal training full time, your most reliable clientele is going to be the older population, and they're the ones that really need it. That's what keeps them going. Many of my clients, just keeping them like getting them out of the house, getting
Mhm.
them active, getting them strong. I like training older people. It's very rewarding because they don't like want to become bodybuilders. Like, yeah, that would be cool to train somebody like maybe for a bodybuilding competition. I always thought maybe that'd be cool once in my life to do. But like when they say like I went on vacation and I could pick up my granddaughter, or like we walked a trail I wasn't able to walk before, like that's cool.
Oh,
That's why I like to do what I do.
that's so much more
It's
rewarding.
so rewarding. Yeah.
And, they know that they need it and they take it a little bit more seriously.
Yes.
Where I feel like for our age group, it's like, oh, yeah, I want to get fit. Look, I'm just going to throw myself under the bus here, and my husband will tell you the exact same thing. Bryce is the one who is very fitness, very, health conscious. And
Mhm.
a lot of times I'll be like, oh, I'm going to work out, right? Like, this is my time and I'm going to take it seriously. I usually only last about 3 weeks. And then I'll even get to the point of, oh, keep me accountable. And then
Yes.
he's keeping me accountable. Then I'm getting mad at him. I'm like, just leave me alone. I don't
Oh,
want to do it.
yeah.
Oh, and then I go through these cycles of it.
Yeah.
So, and then like, even with eating, he's like, are you sure you should be eating that? And I'm like, I don't want to be held accountable anymore. I don't care. Like, and he's like, I just am doing what you ask. Like, I don't
Right.
care what you do, but
Right.
I'm doing what you ask. So
Yeah.
I think our age group is a little bit more stubborn and
Yes.
has less self-control.
Yes. Yes. And we want
Um,
quick fixes. I think the older generation seems to understand like the like, okay, let's work for something and it's going to take time. Whereas our generation, we're so spoiled with instant gratification that it's like, if I don't look different tomorrow, I'm done. you know?
yeah.
So
And it's easier for us to compare ourselves to other people because we
yeah.
are younger. So like we go on social media,
Yeah.
they're like, why don't I look like that?
Yeah.
How come it comes like this to them? And it's like, but you also
Mhm.
don't know what they're battling with.
Exactly.
So like they could be dealing with some type of eating disorder and you not
Mhm.
know, or
Mhm.
they're not happy about it,
Yeah.
about the way that their lifestyle is. So it's like,
Mhm.
we compare ourselves
Mhm.
and social media is such a downfall for that.
Yeah, I think especially for women, it can be very detrimental. And I love social media, but I also see the negative side. And as a teenager, actually getting into fitness, there were a bunch of times where I was like, I need to get real with what I'm seeing and unfollow these people because if they are making me just destroy, like if it's destroying my own self image or making me worship my self image more, I mean, that can be a thing too.
Mm.
You need to just get it out of your feed, and
Yeah.
unfollow people. And as a young girl, and now as a mom to a girl, I'm like, I would never give my kids social media. Like, I really want to go back to a flip phone. I just feel like to run my business, I can't. But honestly, there's so many times where I tell my husband, I'm getting a flip phone. He's like, you can't, like, you
Yeah.
can't, but it's like, just to save my daughter from just what's out there,
It's
you
terrible.
know?
It's terrible.
And that's just the fitness world. I mean, there's so much, but
We say it all the time. We are not giving our kids social media. They're not getting
mhm,
a phone
mhm.
for very, very long time. As the longer that we can keep them from that
Yeah.
is absolutely not. So like we grew up really poor.
Mhm.
So I did not get my first phone until I could pay for it myself.
Yeah, I was the same way.
And even
Yeah.
then I had a flip phone that was prepaid.
Yep. The
And
track phone. My first phone was a track phone when I could drive on my own
yes,
so
yes.
that I could call somebody if I needed.
And it was like I'm so thankful for it. I remember I wanted a MySpace
Mhm.
when it first came out so bad. And like my mom was like, absolutely not. And I thought she was just being mean at the time.
Mhm.
And I never got one. Eventually I did, but it was just like, man, thank God that we were poor so that
Yeah.
I couldn't have a social media because everything was on phones and stuff. Then I finally got a Facebook, but even then, it's it's so dangerous. Like, we don't live in the same world that we do when we were growing up versus now.
Yeah.
I mean, the things that the kids that are dealing with in school with
Yeah.
and they come home even what they've experienced or what they're seeing other kids are
Yeah.
experiencing is
Mhm.
so heartbreaking and it's
Yes.
starting younger and younger.
Yes, I was gonna say, and as a parent, it takes wisdom to, like, how am I gonna deal with this? Because it will happen, like, they will come home with questions and, uh,
It's happening
how do you
already.
deal with it? I
Yeah,
think that's where you just really gotta pray for wisdom, um,
it's
because it is
scary.
challenging.
Yeah, and like I know Bryce and I kind of like really know our kids' personalities so we can
Yes.
see and
Mhm.
then kind of like use that. Like, for example, Brooks, my second one, he has
Mhm.
that like addictive personality
Yeah.
where like when he gets his grip on something,
Mhm.
he gets obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, that can be very dangerous for the future. So
Yeah.
you kind of have to notice it and then shift it to make
Yeah.
sure that it doesn't turn into something later.
Yes.
So I think
Yeah.
it's a lot of just really learning your children
Yeah.
and then trying to divert it as much as you can.
Mhm.
We are very transparent parents.
Mhm.
We're very open with them.
Mhm.
We have a lot of communication. And even in the sense of, a lot of times we're like, oh, really? You're coming to us to tell us that, like the first thought that came to your brain, okay.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's something that we're working on is like, okay, it's good that they're wanting to come to us for every
Yes.
thought because then that means that they're going to have that open communication
Yeah.
and it's going to change as they get older.
Yes.
But it's very hard and we're still learning as we go. I mean, there is
Mhm.
no handbook for parenting.
Especially now when all your kids are different. Mom
Yeah.
always says that was the hardest thing because we were all 4 so different,
And
you know?
each kid has a different way of learning,
Yes.
way of discipline.
Yes.
The way that our daughter gets disciplined is very different than our son
Mhm.
because you can't get through the same way.
Right.
So it's again really just studying and learning and being like, all right, here's the most effective way that'll help this one
Yeah.
instead of just doing a universal
Yeah.
thing. Um, do you recall a time where you have used your relationship with God to also help your clients
Oh my goodness,
in
yes.
fitness?
It's always been a prayer of mine that I wouldn't just be people's trainer because when you're a trainer, you're not just their trainer, you're their therapist, you become their friend, you become like family to a lot of them. And especially my clients that I've seen for years and years, they're like my family. And there are so many times where like clients have come into the gym and crying about something or even like adults telling me stuff they're going through with their kids and just like what would you do? And I'm like I'm like, I'm 28. I don't know anything. But also like I would hope that they see that I have wisdom and it's not my wisdom, it's the Holy Spirit. And I think that when I just share how I live my life with other people and like decisions that we make with our child, etc., they're like, okay, that's different than what most people are doing. And they see that and then they want to ask questions.
Right.
But also then just to I have had younger girls come to me for training. And, I can tell their reason for wanting to train is just not something that I can work with. So, like, for instance, a few years ago, I had a teenage girl come in. I think she said she was like 18 or 19. And she was just like, I want to change this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And she's like, I hate this about myself. And I was like, we got to get this and your heart fixed first. And I told her that. I was like, I was like, God made you. And I had only met this girl once. Like, she came in for a consultation. I said, look, I'm probably going to sound super crazy, but like, God made you and you are beautiful. And you need to realize that there is so much more to your worth than what we look like. And then I gave her the whole spiel of like, I get it, social media and just comparing ourselves to other women. Like, I do it too, but like, we can't let that take hold of how we truly view ourselves,
Right.
and just telling people that God loves them, even if they don't believe it, that still sticks with them. Like, they're going to think about it. And I hope and pray. So I never did end up working with that girl. I sent her away and I sent her the number to somebody who I know who does, I wouldn't call her like a counselor, but she's just very good at talking to women who struggle with different things. And I don't know if she ever called her, but it was like, okay, in this situation, she did not need a personal trainer. She needed somebody to help her fix her mind and her heart first. But there's been a lot of opportunities like that then where I do take people like that on, and it's like, let's talk about your other priorities in life.
Yeah.
How's your marriage? Or how's your relationship with your kids if they're older? It's very, you get into some interesting topics when you're working with people for an hour, sometimes multiple times
Yeah.
a week, and it's cool. It's a cool opportunity. It's one of my favorite things about training because you get to know people much more besides what they can do in the gym.
I mean, that's such a gift that was given to you also to not only be able to have the knowledge to train their bodies, but
Mhm.
also really just care for them
Yeah.
and to speak love and light into them
Mhm.
from God. And I just want you to know like how special that is
Mhm.
and how amazing and how thankful everybody should be that you are in the place that you're in.
Mhm.
Um, so anybody that comes to you, I'm sure is just so beyond blessed
Mhm.
because you care for them beyond what you're there to actually do, you
Mhm.
know? Um, how does your spiritual life tie into your health and your wellness and your working out and your eating habits like on a daily
Mhm.
routine?
It's funny that that's a good question because I feel like that took me years actually to bring everything full circle.
Yeah,
There were so many years, especially when I was into running, where I did get pretty obsessed with not necessarily being thin, but like I wanted to be a really good runner and I would do whatever it took to hit certain times or be able to train a certain way.
right.
And in a very real sense, I think for a few years, I definitely idolized it and just idolized my figure and idolized what my body could do. It's interesting because in those few years, it was always harder to sit down and actually spend time with the Lord. It's like my attention span for that was gone. And I remember, I've listened to podcasts and done different devotionals. And I think through also just talking to older, wiser women, which is so important, I was able to like wrap my head around like, look, God gave you this ability.
Right.
He gave you your health. He gave you your career.
Mhm.
And what are you doing to honor him back with it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I definitely think that it took me a few years to be able to like realize that health, wellness, spiritual wellness, like all of that is so intertwined
Mhm.
that you really can't have one without the other. And, I love my cake and my ice cream and my chocolate, whatever. But like, I think too, as long as you're not idolizing one thing and God is always first, I mean, thou shalt have no other gods before me. I feel like people put that into like, oh, but that's like to big things. No, it's not. If you're waking up and you're idolizing, like I work with clients and do like macro coaching, and you would be surprised how that takes up a lot of mental headspace for people. If that's becoming an idol where you're just counting macros and you're so obsessed with what you eat that you're not able to even think about other things or really like focus on other things, that's a problem. That's something that God gave us that we can utilize for our health and to reach certain goals. But it should not go before. Are we thinking about that more than we're thinking about things from above,
Mhm.
more than we're pondering scripture, more than we're pondering how we can be helping and
Right.
serving others? Um, I feel like it'd be such a fine line.
And it does take so much time because
Hmm.
when I went through one of my phases of trying to lose weight and all this stuff after I had one of my kids,
Hmm.
there was this app and you could scan the back of whatever you ate and it would
Hmm.
put in all of your stuff for you.
Hmm.
And it was exhausting counting
Yes.
calories
Yeah.
to be like, okay. And then I ended up stopping because I just couldn't do it. Like
Hmm.
it was so time consuming. Like you have to think
Yes.
about it. Okay, well, if I eat this is going to make me go over. Then it's going to put me in then I won't be in a deficit. And it's just going to be like
Right.
all this work that you put in for nothing. And it was like a vicious cycle.
Hmm. It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think that pushed me away too, and then I was just
Yes.
like, "You know what?" And then I think this is why I get back in my, like, I don't wanna do it anymore because 'cause I'm like, I have a husband who loves me,
Yeah.
and, that's all I mean, and I have God who loves me and my husband who loves me and my children, like,
Yeah.
who
Right.
else am I trying to do this for, you know what I
Yes.
mean? And if I'm not happy doing it, then it's
Yeah.
not for myself either.
Right.
So,
I think for a lot of things, you know, whether you're training for a marathon or you're just going to the gym after work, if you honestly ask yourself, am I somehow bringing God glory through this? And your answer is no, maybe evaluate why. You
mhm,
know, there were a lot of times I feel like I'm at a good place in my life now, especially now as a mom, where it's kind of like I want to model, healthy habits for my
yeah,
daughters. And I want to be able to see them seeing mommy like want to be strong and want to be fit and want to take care of herself,
mhm,
but not because she's vain, not because she ate too much last night. So now she has to go for a really long walk today, like things like that. I don't want to teach them unhealthy cycles that
right,
you can easily fall into. I want them to learn like we honor God with our body. Our health comes from God. So, yes, we steward that well
mhm,
and don't missteward it,
right,
and basically what that looks like. I'm sure like, it's not always going to be perfect, but
right,
we eat well. We don't always have junk food. It's okay to indulge, but like we don't always have junk food because, like with my daughter, like, okay, so like I want her to learn like, so we eat vegetables, we eat protein, like teaching her how to
right,
eat well because these are things God has given us, but we don't obsess over it. It's just part of life that we need to steward well, just like money,
right.
just like our time, like our relationships, as she would get older, things like that.
Yeah, because 'cause they're watching at a young age, and at that young age, they're
It's
like I said
crazy.
earlier, they're sponges, right? How old is your daughter now?
She's 18 months.
Whew,
And me and my husband are always like,
you're in the thick of it.
oh my goodness, like she picks up so much at such a young age.
Yeah. My daughter was walking out of this room earlier, and I was like, "Hey, Blair, come here." She goes, "Wait a second," and I was like, "You're 2. You just told me to wait a
Why are you
second?
telling me this? Yep.
Like,
Yep.
what do you mean wait a second?"
Hmm.
But yeah, they grow so quick, like, you
Yes.
blink and it's like, "Oh, they were watching me this whole time."
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you have to be very, very careful with that.
Hmm.
How many kids do you want? A lot?
I would love to have, well, I feel like people, when you say I would love to have as many as the Lord will give us, then people are like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna have 20 kids." But I
Ah,
think I think like with each child, you need to evaluate: Are we able to take care of this child?
yeah.
Are we able to again the steward word? Are we able to steward being parents well? And being there for our children. I do think though our society in general does not like the idea of having a lot of kids for
Girl,
whatever reason,
let me tell you.
and I'm sure yeah you've heard it.
Let me tell you. I think I've heard more negative things about how big our family is than I
Hmm.
have positive.
Hmm.
From strangers, family,
Yeah.
I mean, just the comments.
Yeah.
And for a long time with this baby,
Hmm.
I told Bryce, I said, I don't even want to tell anybody
Yeah.
because I know that this one is our last baby
Hmm.
because I can't handle having another one
Yeah.
because of number one, my pregnancies are very rough on me.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to focus on the ones that we have now
Yes.
because it's very hard. You know, when you're pregnant, it's like all your focus is slowly taken off of one of them
Yes.
because
Hmm.
you're so consumed in either the pregnancy or the newborn phase. And then, I mean, I've been doing this for since I was 19.
Yeah.
I'm 29, so I've had 5 kids in 10 years.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the comments are very rough. I mean, I just kind of like whatever at this
Mhm.
point, but
Mhm.
it's, "Oh, you need to get a TV," or, "Oh, are all of those yours? Wow, your hands are full." And
Mhm.
it's like, "Yeah, full of love, like,
Right.
it's okay."
I think in general, our society is afraid of hard.
But
Having
it
a
gets
lot of kids is
easier.
hard. I mean, yeah, we could have just one child and give her all of our love and attention. I guarantee it would be easier than having 4 or 5 or 6 or however many
Uh,
God would give you.
I think having more is easier than one, and I'm saying that because when you have one,
Mhm.
all that attention is demanded by you
Yeah.
and your husband.
Yeah.
When you have more, they all play with each other and help take care of each other, and not because they're forced to,
Mhm.
because they want to.
Yeah.
And then I also think that it's amazing because they learn at an early age how to be caretakers
Yes. Oh, that is so important. Yeah.
and help each other. There are so many times when my 9-year-old, my 8-year-old, my 5-year-old,
Mhm.
they just take my 2-year-old under their wing without being asked.
Yeah.
And not because they feel forced and not
Yeah.
because it's because they want to, because they
Mhm.
love her. They know what a family looks like. And
Yeah.
I always tell my boys, I'm like, you guys are going to make incredible fathers one day
Yes.
because ultimately that's what we're raising them to be. We're raising
Right.
our children not just to be humans, they're going to be dads
Yeah.
and husbands. And same with our daughters. They're going to be
Mhm.
moms and wives. And
Yes.
um,
I think that's the difference too between people that are raising their children in view of and in light of God's word versus the world. So, like in the world, you only have as many kids as you can afford. I personally, yeah, we grew up, we were not rich. I remember people giving, like random people from church giving us money when I knew we needed it as a kid,
mhm.
you know, and just seeing how he provides. So I think, like what you said about having more is easier, like people need to hear that. And then society will say, well, you shouldn't have your kids raising each other. My rebuttal to that would be, why not? They need to learn responsibility at some point. And that's what's so wrong with today's world. People are afraid of hard. They're afraid of responsibility. They are afraid of basically just look at adults. They don't want to be responsible, mature adults. And I think so when my youngest brother was born,
Mhm.
I was like so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, mom, you're giving me my own baby. Like I was so excited. And if you ask Calvin to this day, he'll be like, oh yeah, I'm her baby. But like honestly, my mom jokes and says, like, you potty trained him, like you made it so much better for me. And to me, was that a burden on me? Absolutely not. As a young girl who saw my mom loving motherhood and then aspired to be a mom myself, like that's the coolest gift she could have given me.
Yeah.
The ability to essentially raise without literally having to,
Yeah.
like my own little baby,
Yeah.
and that might sound odd to some people, but I think society doesn't necessarily want to raise their kids to be moms and dads and stewarders of souls. We're looking at our kids. My goal is to be able to raise godly offspring
Mhm.
that will hopefully continue for generations until the Lord returns.
Yeah.
I think in general, the world just raises kids. We want successful kids. If they don't want to get married, they don't value marriage, so it doesn't matter. If they don't want to have kids, it's fine, you do you. But as godly moms, we should want to be, and dads, but we should want to be raising our kids with a more eternal value.
Mhm.
That's why, I think a lot of people at my workplace that knew I was a Christian were like, oh, when she gets married, she's going to have a lot of kids. And honestly, I was like, I'm glad they think that. I'm glad that they know that as Christians, we value life. We value children. We don't see them as a burden. Yeah, it's not always going to be easy, but God doesn't call us to easy. In fact, he warns us life's going to be hard.
Amen. Amen. You know, to piggyback off of that, personally, whenever we've gotten pregnant, we've always tried to really involve the other kids in that pregnancy
Yes.
and not just feel like, oh, okay, well, there's another baby and you guys are going to be off to the back burner. Like,
Right.
we've always been very big on, hey, come to this ultrasound, listen to the heartbeats. Do you
Yes.
want to help pick out clothes? Do you want to help pick out blankets? Let's get the nursery together. Do you want to talk to them today? And, our boys, because they're a year apart, they were there for the first girl, and
Yeah.
they were 2 and 3 when I had her, but it was still very like, "Okay, you're involved." And
Yes.
then my daughter, with our last daughter, she would come to all my ultrasounds with me, listen to the heartbeat, like, she was very interested.
Precious.
And even with this one,
Yeah.
when we told them that we were having a 5th child, they were like, "Oh my gosh, are you kidding?" And we're like, "No." My oldest was like, "Mom, I'm about to cry." And
Oh,
he just hugged me and was like, "Congratulations." It gets
that's precious.
so special because they can understand it.
Yes.
And um, my 5-year-old with my 2-year-old, so my 2-year-old is allergic to egg,
Yeah.
but not like she can have it in cakes and pies and stuff like as long as it's baked.
Yeah.
But like she can't have scrambled eggs or like eggs in like a custard or like eggs in mac and cheese. Who knew people put eggs in mac and cheese? I
Yep.
didn't.
I know. I know.
Icing. So, you have to be very careful. And my 5-year-old is always like, wait a second, is there egg in that? Like she
They look for
knows.
each other.
And even if somebody's babysitting them, she's the one like, here's her diapers, here's her wipes, here's what she does before bed, here's her blankets. Like, so then we were Christmas shopping. And I had said to my husband, because our 2-year-old is getting to that point where she's like mimicking. And with this baby on the way, I said, there's a baby doll there that has a diaper, feeding stuff, a little potty. I said, we have to get it because I know she's going to try and take my baby and
Yes.
try to
Yes.
be mama hen.
Yes.
So I was like, we got to be prepared. So then, like, when she sees me taking care of my baby, she can take
Yes.
care of her baby.
Yeah.
Because my youngest is very, if you know, you know, she's very strong willed. You can't tell her anything. So I already know when she gets her mind made up. So I'm like, we have to kind of like involve this. But even now, like my kids help me put the crib together, put the
Mhm.
nursery together, and they ask to see her. They'll ask to talk to her.
Yeah.
So it's so important to just keep that family knitted together too.
I was just gonna say, to me, that's the difference. You guys are building a team, like a family that works together as a team. And I think a lot of times families don't. It's parents raising their kids, But when you're building that family
Right.
bond, it's so different. And it's special. I mean, I helped so much with my brothers growing up. Do I look back and feel like I was robbed of my childhood and fun things? Absolutely not. We did fun things all the time, but we did them together. But was I robbed of my childhood? Because I think that's what a lot of people like to say when you have other siblings that are helping with other siblings. No, they're not going to be able to experience the fun things, whatever. That is so not true. That is so not true. I think a lot of it just depends on how the parents choose to bring their kids up, you know?
And think about it. Your siblings are your first best friends. Really.
And honestly, my brothers, I still love all of my brothers to death. I've got a great relationship with all of them.
No.
And it breaks my heart that we're all in different states. I know it breaks all of our hearts to an extent.
You
But
guys are
it's
all
like,
in different states, right?
huh? Yep. So Delaware, Pennsylvania, then 2 of them do live in Florida, but
Are they
different
close
areas.
together?
I think they're like an hour apart,
That's not
but
bad.
which is good. They have each other, and they always say they have each other,
Yeah.
and just the family bond that is so beautiful, that is so overlooked today because it's not focused on, it's not viewed as important. Um, it's just, yeah, it's so important.
What would you say to mom who feels distant from God in in the chaos of life, in raising
Mm.
a child with the outside sounds of our society?
Well, from a trainer's point of view,
Yes.
I would encourage you like I would encourage a client that's saying, I'm really struggling with having time to work out or to eat right. Start with what you have. Most people do have 5 minutes. I know if I complain that I don't have time, if I'm really honest with myself and I look back at my day, well, I did spend 10 minutes scrolling, or I did, call and talk to so and so, you know what I mean? And I could have been doing something else while I was doing that, even. So if we're all really brutally honest with ourselves, we do have time. I think for a mom, it is different. Now, I do feel like my first was a very easy baby. I didn't really struggle with feeling like I needed to fall off of my other routines, or like, I'm very thankful I was able to maintain a lot of that. Um, but my time with God did look different, like, as a new mom.
Right.
And there were days where, okay, I literally have, like, a 3-minute devotional on my Bible app. That's okay. Use what you have. I think the Lord honors a heart that wants to learn and wants to grow. Um, and I think God sees what you're doing. He sees what you're doing as important work. He knows
Right.
what a mother's heart goes through on a daily basis from start to finish. And he knows that our attention is pulled in different directions. I mean, he made us, he made our kids. So I think just, okay, let me honor you with the even 5 minutes that I have, and he'll teach you something. And I think also just on the days where I don't necessarily spend a ton of time in the word and I'll say I opt for like a quicker, let me just read this quick devotional,
Right.
a simple prayer beforehand, Lord, please teach me something from this.
Mhm.
He does. He does. I mean, it's a prayer that I feel like he always answers for me, even when I least expect it. So just praying and asking the Lord, what can you teach me today? Also, that can be a very dangerous prayer. I've also prayed that when I'm just at home all day with my daughter and I'm like, okay, teach me something I need to learn today. And then that's the day that she tests my patience a lot. And as an 18-month, well, 18 months are like, they're still so cute and sweet, but then they're like, it's that fine line where they're starting to like talk back in their own way and just be rebellious. And it's like, whew, how am I going to deal with this? And that's the Lord maybe teaching you, okay, here's where we need to work on your patience muscle now and strengthen that. You
Yeah.
know?
It's hard.
But yeah, just doing what you can and also just finding somebody to pray for. Something that I've always loved the term popcorn prayers. I've always really struggled with sitting down and like having a very solid prayer life, but I would say I'm pretty good at like if I think of Brianna, I'm going to pray for her and her kids today.
Mhm.
And I always do think there are very very many times looking in the past where God has brought the most random people to mind. I'm like, okay, if I'm thinking about them, I'm going to pray for them. And then later found out they were going through something where it's like, wow, I didn't even know. Like I hadn't talked to them in months.
Right.
And I think God does that. Like that's one way that he brings his people together.
Mhm.
And just praying for people as they pop into your mind. You know, you might think I'm just a mom at home, hustle and bustle with chaos of kids all day. But if you think of your neighbor lady that lives down the road, maybe you don't have time to go see her. Pray for her. You never know.
Yeah,
You don't know what she's going through that day.
that's true. And not everybody is an open book either. So some
Right.
people like really you got to pry it out of what's
Right.
going on in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are too embarrassed to share what they're going on or what they're going through
Right.
and all of that stuff. Yeah, it's it's an up and down thing and sometimes our pride gets in the way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if
Mhm.
somebody's like, "Hey, how can I pray for you today?" No, I'm fine. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like these secret battles
Yeah.
that people are dealing with that we don't
Mhm.
know about. It's important to have an army of people who can pray over you. It makes such a
Yes.
difference because
Yes.
sometimes when we feel too weak and once you're so low, it's so hard to come out of it. And the only thing that can help you is other people's prayers.
And that's the power of community. I think that's why God calls us to be a church, and a
Hmm.
church isn't a building, it's a people. You
Hmm.
know, we're not called to do life alone. You know, there's a reason for that. The world is a tough place to come against. So like, yeah, you need to be a family unit of believers and pray for one another, check in with each other, encourage one another. It's so important.
And keep each other accountable. I think that's the thing that's
Yes.
really hard that a lot of us as Christians, I mean, not just as Christians, but as humans in general,
Mhm.
I think we all are like, oh, okay, well, they just checked my character. It's like, wow, are
Mhm.
you doing that because um, you're being passive aggressive or not even
Right.
passive aggressive, but just trying to be nasty because of something else that you have going on? Or
Right.
or is it because you actually care?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
But I do think accountability is because we all go out of character all the
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
So it's like that character check, but out
Mhm.
of love.
Mhm.
And that's another reason a community is just so important to
So
be full
important.
of genuine people who care about you and are praying
Yeah.
for you and want the best for you.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's hard to find that group though, to find that genuine group
Yeah, it is.
because you could think that you found it and then
Mhm.
there's things that you see behind closed doors that they're secretly wanting you to fail,
Right.
and it could be Christians too.
Right.
I mean, we're all human, we all
Mhm.
have emotion, and we all make mistakes and we sin. So I mean, just because there's Christians doesn't mean that everybody wants the best for you.
Right. Yeah.
So it's really finding that good solid community
Mhm.
of love.
I think too a lot of times, like, when I moved here, that was tough for me to find for a
Right.
while. And eventually, yes, God has brought people into my life, but also being that community for people and starting that. So, like, if you start hanging out with people and you think they're really out for you, and then you find out they're not, they actually want to see you fail, like you said, we'll use that. That can be very hurtful, and it could make you want to close up.
Mhm.
I know I was tempted to be that way multiple times, where it's like, I thought you were my friend, or like,
Mhm.
and it hurts. And it's okay to let it hurt, but
Right.
then don't let it change how you go and treat other people. Um, my mom always just impressed on us serving others and being the friend to those who have no friend. She always encourages, if you walk into a room where you see somebody that's sitting alone or just looks awkward or out of place, go talk to them,
Right.
because good chance they are, and you might be the community that they need,
Yeah.
and I think God, that's what God would call us to do.
Sometimes I get my feelings hurt really easily
Hmm. I think that's normal.
because I am very bold in the
Hmm.
sense of I'm overly nice. I can't
Hmm.
tell you how many people tell me, "You're too nice, you're too nice, you're too nice."
Hmm.
And I always want to be that person
Hmm.
that can make somebody feel loved
Yeah.
and like they're enough
Hmm.
and that they're not alone. So, like, yes, if I'm being overly nice, it's not because it's an act. It's because I genuinely love people and I
Hmm.
genuinely want people to know
Hmm.
that, like, not everything has to be bad. Sometimes I get my feelings hurt because when people don't want that,
Hmm. Hmm.
I will take it offensively and
Yeah.
be like, oh, well, maybe I am being too nice, or like, I get
Mhm.
taken advantage of because of that. And
Right.
at times it's like we want to shut down and be
Yeah.
like, oh, but then that's not being true to ourselves.
Right.
I mean, yes, that knocks us down for a minute, but
Mhm.
and I feel like we all go through, oh, I'm just going to change. I'm not going to be like that anymore. And
Right.
then you're like, no, because how would you want somebody to be with you?
Exactly. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
So it's easy to get discouraged like that, but
Yeah.
um, our niceness could be the only type of friendliness that they've experienced in a long time.
Yes.
And even if they push us away, it's not us.
Right.
It's something that they're dealing with and working through.
Right.
I mean, I pray all the time, God, use me as a vessel
Mhm.
in any way that you can. Use me as a vessel to help people and to be there for people
Yeah.
and be a community for people,
Mhm.
whether they want it or not.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a community
Yep.
deep down.
True.
Even if they tell you, no, I don't like people, da, da, da. No, you want somebody.
Yeah.
Um, what is one scripture that you want to leave with everybody that you kind of cling on to when times get hard?
So in general, I love the Proverbs. There's just tons of wisdom, good general life advice.
Right.
But Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all of your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your paths straight. That is a passage that I have gone back to time after time, going through multiple different things, positive things, hard things, and literally just trusting in the Lord. It's literally just like it's so easy. It's not. And I think that's why I like the verse and go back to it, because
Yeah.
it's not always easy to trust in the Lord, but he does make your path straight. And so that's always been a good, encouraging passage for me.
Yeah, it's hard when things get rocky and you're like, okay, God, like, why are you doing this? And you don't
Mhm.
see it right then and there, but that's walking blindly in faith
Yeah.
and knowing that his plan is greater than what we could ever imagine, even if we don't see it right then and there.
Right. Right.
What is some advice that you would give to anybody who is wanting to get started on their health journey?
I would say very similar to when you asked about the advice for spending time with God
Yeah.
for moms. Start with what you have. Don't make it complicated. Don't read things on the internet because there's so much conflicting advice. If it's something as simple as like the exercise goes, walking, go for a little walk every day, get outside, try to eat at least one meal that has protein in it, that, aim for like 15 to 20 grams of
Mm.
protein, even if you just do that once a day. It kind of makes you more aware. Um, and again, just focusing on like holistic health, your spiritual, your mental, your emotional, your physical. They are all are one. Um, But yeah, as far as like exercise goes, I always tell clients start with walking. It's the most underrated exercise that
Mhm.
has an amazing amount of health benefits.
Yeah, get that blood pumping.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome, and just sharing your story and, blessing anybody that needs to hear it and encouraging them.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure you like and share. We love you. Thank you.